It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as Buddy Matthews is set to take on Malakai Black, a huge free agent has been drafted to WWE RAW, and a promotion has signed Tessa Blanchard after an 18-month hiatus. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first... Dan Lambert, founder of the infamous MMA gym American Top Team, has brought a number of former and current UFC stars to All Elite Wrestling to have his back. Scorpio Sky, who is now a recruit of Lambert, spoke with the Miami Herald this week to discuss the future of 3 of the MMA fighters in pro wrestling. Jorge Masvidal, who currently fights in the UFC's welterweight division, recently got physical on Grand Slam, laying out Chris Jericho with a trademark knee. This was of course the same knee that knocked out Ben Askren in just 5 seconds in the first round of their fight at UFC 239. Sky thinks Masvidal has a big future in pro wrestling, and he said, Jorge Masvidal, he is a pro wrestler. He can do it, he gets it. I kind of talked to him a little bit, and even in the fight game, he is a fan favorite. He has a little bit of a character, a lot of swag, and he kicks ass. That's what you want in a professional wrestler. Another name who has showed up on Dynamite is now bare-knuckle boxer Paige VanZant, who was a favorite during her time in the UFC. Sky feels she has a future in wrestling and said, somebody else, Paige VanZant. If she wanted to get into the wrestling business, she would shoot straight to the top. She'd be very good at it. Obviously, she's a monster athlete, she has the look, has the charisma. Sky would then mention former UFC heavyweight champion Junior Dos Santos, and feels he too could cross over, and said, somebody else that might surprise you is Junior Dos Santos. I think he's a wrestling fan and didn't even know it. If you decided to cross over Kenny Omega, the heavyweight championship, you might have to watch out because he has knockout power. The signing of any of these 3 names would no doubt add star power to the roster, and I think specifically Jorge Masvidal would be a great fit given his eccentric personality. Whilst it's currently unknown if the knockout knee to Chris Jericho will lead to anything down the line, a match between the two would no doubt bring eyes to the AEW product. Former Ring of Honor Pure Champion Jonathan Gresham, who dropped his title at last month's Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view, would this week declare that he is ready to move into the world title picture after dominating the Pure division for the past year. He would interrupt the now Pure Champion Josh Woods to announce his intentions and said, with the World Championship I know comes influence. With that influence, I can finally fulfill my destiny in purifying this company. Gresham would give Woods his stamp of approval, stating the Pure title is in good hands. Gresham would win the Pure Championship last year when the belt was revived after being dormant since 2006. He has had 1 Ring of Honor World Championship match in his career, losing to then champion Jay Lethal in 2018 in a 30-minute Iron Man match, but will now be chasing Bandido for the belt. AEW EVP Cody Rhodes appeared in an interview with Pop Culture this week and discussed the impact that the arrival of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson has had in AEW. The 2 biggest names in the company right now would arrive within weeks of each other, moments Cody would describe as flashpoints, and he'd say, I think you're looking at really a flashpoint in wrestling history, the day that Punk returned in the United Center. I had texted one of the guys who format the show and I said, you should be proud of yourself. You're formatting the most important show since Bash at the Beach, and everyone should know the Bash at the Beach I'm referring to, and really, that was so special. Every wrestler wants to be in that spot. Cody is of course referring to WCW Bash at the Beach 1996, which saw Hulk Hogan turn heel to align with the Outsiders, forming the New World Order faction. This would be one of the catalysts in creating the biggest boom period wrestling has ever seen. Cody would also give his thoughts on the arrival of Bryan Danielson at AEW All Out last month and said, it was a flashpoint to have Bryan, the last star who organically kind of got over on his own, culminating at WrestleMania 30, but having them is one thing, holding them and their passions manifesting on the screen will be the ticket. I'm confident that both of them will continue to be massive pieces of our business and great examples for the locker room because they're top guys in reality, in presentation, in work ethic. In order to truly be compared to the birth of the New World Order, AEW must continue to keep people talking by putting on exciting shows week after week. Whilst the heights of WCW's peak are unlikely, Punk and Bryan have the ability to lead AEW to new heights if they play their cards right. AEW Women's World Champion Britt Baker appeared on Throwing Down with Renee Paquette and Miesha Tate this week to discuss her time in All Elite Wrestling. Up until recently, her boyfriend Adam Cole was part of WWE's roster on the NXT brand before he would make the jump at AEW All Out this year after his contract expired. Cole has previously revealed that WWE were interested in bringing the Doctor to WWE, which Baker confirmed during her appearance on the podcast. She would reveal the interest wasn't mutual and said, "It's no secret, Adam has already said it. That cat is out of the bag and I'm not going to get in trouble. WWE was definitely poking the bear a little bit through him recently when I was still with AEW. They'd say, hey, we're interested in her, without teetering the line of contract tampering. They definitely let me know they had interest in me, but it wasn't a mutual thing. I'm very happy with AEW and thankful for the opportunities, and this is where I want to stay." As we discussed a while back in an AEW WWE Jumps predictions video, it seemed inevitable that the couple would link up on one side of the fence or the other, and Adam Cole was the one to switch allegiance. Baker is coming off the back of a AEW Dynamite Grand Slam main event title defense where she defeated Ruby Soho to walk out still champion. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you drop a like on the video as it helps me out a lot, and make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head, hopefully, towards 100,000 subscribers. But now, let's press play on the video. Battleground Championship Wrestling have today announced a match between AEW star Malakai Black and his former WWE foe Buddy Matthews, who was formerly known as Buddy Murphy. The match will take place in the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on Saturday, December 18th. Matthews is currently a free agent following his WWE release earlier this year, with his non-compete clause recently expiring. The two last wrestled in January on an episode of SmackDown, with Black walking away with the victory. If you notice, the damaged eye that is visible on Black's face was actually caused by Matthews in their time in WWE, where he drove him eye first into the edge of the steel steps, an event Malakai still uses as part of his character. Both men released similar videos after each of their releases, set in the same asylum, with both referencing each other. This led many to assume they'd meet in AEW, but that remains to be seen despite a tease from Buddy on social media that he will be the Joker entrant in this Wednesday's Casino ladder match. The fact that this match is now booked in Battleground Championship Wrestling seems to make this a little bit more unlikely. Last night, WWE held Night 2 of the 2021 Draft, with multiple picks being made across both Raw and SmackDown. Raw would pick up recent WWE signing and Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson, and he is seemingly set to make his in-ring debut on the main roster. There would be two call-ups from NXT, with Xia Li and Ridge Holland heading to SmackDown. Elsewhere in the draft, SmackDown would pick SmackDown Tag Team Champions The Usos, Sasha Banks, Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura and his tag partner Rick Boogs, Sheamus, Shayna Baszler, the Viking Raiders, Ricochet, the team of Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, Cesaro and Sami Zayn. Raw would end up taking SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch, The Hurt Business, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, AJ Styles and Omos, Kevin Owens, The Street Profits, Finn Balor, Karrion Kross, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and finally, as mentioned, Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson. Bear in mind I haven't included these supplemental picks made on Raw Talk, but if I did, that would be here all day. Over the past year and a half, there has been a ton of speculation surrounding the former Impact World Champion Tessa Blanchard. However, it now seems her next step has been revealed. According to Fightful, Blanchard is set to sign for Women of Wrestling. The WoW promotion is set to relaunch with a press conference scheduled for Wednesday night. The only major name said to be attached to the relaunch is said to be Tessa, with the rest of the roster still not in place. It's unclear if the contract has actually been signed, but that is the plan as of this recording. Fightful reported they reached out to nearly a dozen former Women of Wrestling names, who said they were not aware of the relaunch plans, saying they were not contacted about it. Many of them were contacted last year by WoW creator David McLean, but were simply asked not to post anything in regards to the allegations that surrounded Blanchard. The WoW relaunch is said to be well known amongst those within women's wrestling, with several names being contacted about the project, all of which didn't sign. Tessa has been a free agent following her release from Impact Wrestling on June 30th, 2020, being stripped of her title in the process. Since then, she has only wrestled twice, both on independent wrestling shows last year. And before you go, make sure you check out my video where I rank every single AEW champion from worst to best, including the TNT, Women's, Tag Team, and World Championship.